On this day, January 3rd, 1977, a new chapter in technology history began. While it wasn't marked by a flashy product launch, this day saw a small partnership take its first, official step toward becoming a company that would eventually put a universe of information into the pockets of billions. This is the story of how a legal document changed the world. Let's rewind the clock. Before 1977, the very idea of a personal computer was almost science fiction. Computers were gigantic, expensive machines that filled entire rooms. They were the exclusive domain of governments, universities, and massive corporations. To use one, you needed specialized technical knowledge. They were tools for institutions, not for individuals. The concept that an ordinary person could own a computer, let alone use it in their own home, was seen as far-fetched and impractical. There was simply no easy way for the average person to interact with digital technology. But as the 1970s progressed, a shift was happening. Electronics were getting smaller and cheaper. A new demand started to bubble up from different corners of society. Engineers and tech hobbyists craved affordable computing power to experiment with. Small businesses were looking for simpler, more accessible ways to manage their data. And everyday people, curious about the burgeoning digital world, wanted technology they could actually understand and use. A massive gap existed in the market. What was missing was a company visionary enough to focus on usability, to design computers for people, and to package everything hardware and software into a complete, ready-to-use product. This was the opportunity that a fledgling company named Apple was about to seize. So, what led up to this pivotal moment? In 1976, two young visionaries, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, along with Ronald Wayne, formed a small partnership. Their very first product, the Apple I, was a testament to their garage startup roots. It was hand-built by Wozniak and sold as a bare circuit board. You had to be a serious computer hobbyist to buy one, as you still needed to source your own keyboard, monitor, and even a case to put it in. The Apple I was a brilliant proof of concept. It showed that a personal computer was possible, but it wasn't a product for the masses. To take their idea to the next level, to truly spark a revolution, Jobs and Wozniak knew they needed more than just a great invention. They needed a legitimate business structure, they needed investment capital, and they needed a formal organization capable of manufacturing and distributing their products on a much larger scale. And that brings us to exactly what happened on January 3rd, 1977. On this day, the partnership was dissolved, and Apple was officially incorporated in the state of California as Apple Computer Inc. This wasn't just a name change. It was a fundamental transformation. This legal act was the key that unlocked their future. Incorporation allowed Apple to issue shares and raise venture capital. It enabled them to enter into formal business contracts and, crucially, to protect their intellectual property. Most importantly, it gave them the structure they needed to scale up production from a handful of handmade boards to a full-fledged manufacturing operation. Shortly after this, investor Mike Markula joined the company, providing not just a significant cash infusion, but also invaluable business expertise. This legal foundation was the launchpad that directly enabled the development of Apple's next and arguably most important product. The impact of this decision was felt almost immediately. Just a few months later, in April 1977, the newly incorporated Apple introduced the Apple II at the West Coast Computer Fair. The Apple II was everything the Apple I was not. It was a complete consumer-ready product. It came fully assembled in a sleek plastic case, included a built-in keyboard, and supported color graphics, a revolutionary feature at the time. It was designed from the ground up for regular people, for homes, schools, and small businesses. The reaction was immediate and overwhelmingly positive. Schools across the country began adopting it to teach computer literacy. Small businesses used it for everything from accounting to word processing. And hobbyists loved its expandability and open architecture. The Apple II wasn't just another computer. It was the computer that defined the personal computer market and set Apple apart as a leader in this new industry. Looking back, the long-term impact of that day in 1977 is staggering. The incorporation of Apple set in motion a chain of events that completely reshaped modern technology. It standardized the very concept of a personal computer, proving that technology could be both powerful and user-friendly. It championed the idea of human-centered design, influencing how software and hardware are integrated to create seamless user experiences. This philosophy inspired the entire consumer electronics ecosystem we know today. Over the decades that followed, Apple would go on to redefine not just personal computers with the Macintosh, but also mobile phones with the iPhone and digital media with the iPod and iTunes. The clean, intuitive design language that Apple pioneered has influenced product development across nearly every sector of the tech industry. And it all traces back to the structural and legal foundation that was laid on that winter day in 1977. It's fascinating to think about the what if. What if Apple had never been incorporated? What if it had remained a small, informal partnership catering only to hobbyists? It's very likely the company would have fizzled out. The Apple II, with its expensive development and mass production needs, might never have been created. The personal computing revolution could have evolved much more slowly, perhaps taking a different, more corporate-focused path. The emphasis on beautiful, consumer-focused design might not have become a priority for the industry for many more years. While technology would have certainly continued to advance, the direction, the pace, and the very feel of that innovation would have been profoundly different. The world we live in today, where powerful technology is an intuitive and integral part of daily life, might look very different. So, in conclusion, January 3rd, 1977 wasn't a day of groundbreaking invention or a dramatic product unveiling. It was a day about something far less glamorous but infinitely more important: structure. The incorporation of Apple Computer, Inc. was the critical step that created the foundation needed for innovation to flourish, for a small idea to scale, and for a lasting impact to be made. It was the moment a dream shared by a few enthusiasts was transformed into an institution that would go on to fundamentally change how every single one of us interacts with technology. This is TimeShift Tech, where we explore what happened in technology on this day. Because every date matters, and every date marks a moment in technology history. If you enjoyed this look back at a pivotal moment, please like, share, and subscribe for more technology history from TimeShift Tech. Thanks for watching.